Elwha Tsansna. My name is Elwha. My English name is Wendy Sampson. I received my Indian name, Elwha, on March 5th, 2005. My aunt, Shashquo, or Adeline Smith, and my other two aunts, Eichza, Beatrice Charles, and Yai Saitmatza, Bernice Anderson, all got together and they gave, I think there was 5 or 6 of us young people from our family that got Indian names, and I was the only girl in the bunch. And I received that name from one of my ancestors from Pisht. She was known as a woman warrior. Now, Elwha, there's a story that goes along with her name, but it was told to my Aunt Adeline Smith, Shashquo, by her great-grandpa Tim, Klallam, and as the story goes, there were the people out at Pish. This is when there were strangers coming onto the land, and a lot of the people were dying and getting killed by these strangers. And the men and the boys were gone. They were mostly dead due to the wars that were going on at the time. And the elders and the young women were kind of depressed. They had no men to protect them. There was just the elders, the women, and the children. And there was this one young woman named Elwha, said, "We cannot be still. The strangers will come again. They were killing us. We cannot be still. So I say, let's get ready. We're not going to sit still." So the elder said, "Oh, Elwha, it is good what you are saying." The elders agreed, so the rest of the young women decided to follow Elwha in getting ready to protect themselves from these strangers. And they got ready. They made their own weapons and they trained themselves physically. The snow came and the wind and the good summer weather and the berries ripened. And one young woman got up and told her grandmother one morning, "I'm going to go out and I'm going to go pick some berries." And her grandmother said, "No, be careful now. You be careful." And so the girl went walking along the trails, and she wasn't walking very long before she seen somebody running. And so she looked out over to the sea and saw 3 canoes coming towards Pisht. So she climbed down this tree that she had climbed up to hide from this runner. She climbed down the tree and ran back to Pisht, and she was yelling for Elwha, Elwha, the enemy is arriving, they're arriving. And so Elwha told the other young women, "Take the elders and the children, hide them into the mountains, hide them in the bushes." And she gathered all the young women, and Elwha told them, "Don't show yourselves when they land, and we'll ambush them." So the young woman said, "Oh, that's what we'll do, Elwha." And then the first canoe came in, and the women were hiding. And as that canoe came in, the young woman sprang and clubbed them all to death. None of them got to the shore. They killed them all. And then the other canoe, the second canoe, came, and she told them, "Kill them all. There'll be none left." So they killed them too. And as the story goes, it was said that the sickening sound of the heads being clubbed could be heard far up into the mountains by the elders. And the third canoe started arriving, but they turned around and went away after they had seen what happened to the first 2 canoes. And so Elwha told the women, "Let them go. When they get home, they'll tell them what happened here." Then they returned. The elders came forward and they saw what happened, and they said to the young women, "Let us drag them into the deep sea." And so they went, and the elders said, "Those big canoes that the strangers had came in, throw those canoes away too. There are lots of sharks out there." So the young women went out and they dragged those 2 canoes full of all those dead people out into the waters, as they were told by their elders, and tipped them. And they fed the sharks, and that is why sharks are good to the Klallam people. They're friends because they were treated well. And that's the story of Elwha, the woman warrior who trained those women. And it was said that she went on to fight beside the men after that.
You have to follow your family line. You go to your elders from your family side and talk to them and ask them to give you an Indian name. That's the way it was done a long time ago. And they usually talked it over. Some would say, "Well, I'm going to name my you know, grandson, such and such a name. Is that all right with you? And usually was, you know, fine. But it's gotten so that, you know, the Indian names are forgotten because we never, you know, followed through, you know, and so sometimes it's hard to get permission to use the name because there's so few.
And I asked for a name when I was 15. I asked for this name when I was 15. And I thought, you know, I was just a kid then. I was like, oh, Ashlush, I want her name, you know. And then 10 years later, and yeah, it was kind of shocking. It's big shoes to fill. They just said that I was very deserving of a woman warrior's name, and they know that I would hold that name high.
If anybody finds Indian names, that we should try to, you know, follow through and try to say the name so that, you know, families could get back their names. And so it's very important that if you find Indian names anywhere that is written, tried to be written by even a white man that, you know, first met the people here, that they should, you know, try to, you know, sound it out and come as close as they can to, you know, how it sounded